Well, I could study, but do you really think it's going to matter?
Did you study in school?
I did.
Like in high school or?
Yeah, I'm very competitive. I wanted to get the grades, and so I knew if I would pre-read all the material before the class. Like, nobody had to ask me. I wanted to be better.
I did not. And I was fine with B's. And I could not study as long as I absorbed the material, like in class. I could not study and make solid B minuses. Occasionally the C. And occasionally an A. So, but I was fine with that. I was like, whatever gets me through. And I never once considered like college.
I still remember the elementary kids I competed against. Abby Black. Her married name has changed, so I'm protecting her identity. We would do flashcard multiplication, and she was good. And I would get after it because I'm like, I'm going to be better than her.
Speaking of getting after it, I think we need to get after some words.
That's probably a good idea.
Hello, friends. Welcome in. Sorry you caught us in mid-conversation there. My name is Matt Murphy, and I say all the best words.
My name's Cameron Smith, and I write all the best words.
This is All the Best Words.
I know words. I have the best words.
This is All the Best Words with Matt Murphy and Cameron Smith.
Did we add polka dots?
No, I like that. I like our little design there. It reminds me of the old what's the old joke? What's black and white and red all over?
Zebra in a blender?
No, the newspaper.
Oh, sorry.
Gross. Nasty. As he said, he's Cameron. I'm Matt. This is All the Best Words. Like and subscribe. If you've not watched previous episodes, they're all a ton of fun. I say a word, he says a word. We talk about those words. We're in and out, and you hopefully are smarter as a result.
Well, Matt, I think it's your turn to go first.
I think it is, and I think I'm going to go with wheelchair. Wheelchair. A necessary accommodation for those who cannot walk or get about. But in this context, I want to talk about the wheelchair as it applies to the 46th president of the United States of America, Joseph Robinette Biden. So apparently the media has decided that they want to look into whether or not Joe Biden was cognitively declining in the waning years of his 4-year presidency. And for most of us, for most thinking people, we recognized that there was significant cognitive decline in 2019. As a matter of fact, I remember saying on the radio, and I think you and I talked about it at the time, there's no way sure, he's the most seasoned guy. Sure, he's been around long enough, but there's no way that they're going to nominate him for their candidate. Look at him. Just look at him on stage. He's getting his butt handed to him by this nobody Kamala Harris from out in California, and we see what happened there. But suddenly, the media denied. Not really happening. This is just Republican talking points. These are mean-spirited talk radio hosts or columnists that are being nasty. It's natural. Of course, he's walking a little bit slower. Well, now it comes out in a new book by Jake Tapper and some other guy. I'm sure the other guy wrote most of the book, and he doesn't get any of the credit, but whatever. That they are telling us that there was a legitimate consideration that if Joe Biden managed to win a second term, that they would have to have him in a wheelchair as a result. There was also an actual conversation with his medical team about the necessity to put him in a wheelchair if he fell again. He fell on multiple occasions.
Sure.
And this demonstrates the physical decline. You add to that the cognitive decline. And I would suggest that we did not really have a known president of the United States for the better part of a year, if not more, during his presidency. And the same media, I call them the hashtag never CNNs and whatnot. There's a major swath of the media that did talk about it. You talked about it. I talked about it. But the left of center media refused to talk about it, would clap back against anyone who brought it up, and they're now discovering all of this. It is annoying, to say the least.
Yeah, my favorite headline that I saw, looking back, because why wouldn't you, was Republicans float conspiracy that Biden may not appear on ballot. Like, What a conspiracy.
What a wild,
Wouldn't that be wild?
crazy thought.
Yeah, and we should be clear that the whole wheelchair situation is not because of some congenital defect or lifelong disability. It's
FDR polio type thing.
yes, or Greg Abbott. Like the
Right.
wheelchair for executive, not the problem. It is that he physically declined to the point where he, who did not otherwise need a wheelchair, was going to need one.
Mm-hmm.
And that to me is extremely concerning because, yeah, the physical is a big part. That was a huge part. But what we saw on the debate stage versus Trump was clearly mental too.
I remember that night as if it were yesterday.
Me too.
You and I were standing together at Hop Springs in Murfreesboro, Tennessee.
We were.
We were at an event watching the debate party, had no idea what was going to happen, thought we would get hopped up Joe, right? We were expecting State of the Union Joe. And 5 minutes into it, not even 5 minutes into it, you looked at me and said, there's no way he can keep going.
Yeah.
This is
toast.
a disaster. He is toast. And obviously he was. And you're right. It is not a matter of the physical. If it were just a physical issue that needed to be addressed, but I think the physical was in combination with the mental decline and the fact, more so, I mean, it's one, we all got it coming, right?
Amen.
We're all going to see mental decline. We're all going to see physical decline. Nobody gets out of this thing alive. The point is, the media refused, a major portion of the media refused to discuss this for the better part of 4 years. And anyone that did, remember the stutter, right? When Joe Biden would completely lose his place or completely bomb a line or a word that, that's just his stutter. You're picking on someone with a stutter. No, that's a guy who can't figure out what he's saying next, and he either wants to be or is the president of the United States. It was a problem then, and I think we need to correct the record, and we need to set it in stone. Those who were trying to cover it up and those who are reporting on it, they're trying to repair the record now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cameron, what is your word?
Well, there are a lot of words that I could choose to follow that, but the one that I'm going to settle on is cover up. Let's call it what it is. This was a cover up. The fact that, and I like Jake Tapper, he's fine. However, the idea that they did this deep investigation to see what was plainly obvious to most Americans, and they did it after Biden was defeated. Don't think for a minute that we would be having a conversation about the media discovering they were lied to if Biden won.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, he might be in a wheelchair, but everything's fine. Everything's fine. And I think this is a re-remembering by the media, and it's a blame shift. Let's call it what it is. It's a cover-up. They looked at this, they had information. Politicians knew, Democratic politicians. Let's not let them out of this either. They knew exactly what was happening. They knew he was in serious cognitive and physical decline, and they covered it up. Their allies in the media played ball with them, and then when he lost, conveniently, they really did the digging and determined it was a very small cohort of insiders that were lying to everyone.
Well, right. And Jake Tapper claims, well, they lied to us. They lied to their fellow Democrats. They lied to other institutional bodies in Washington, D.C., and they lied to the reporters, to which I say Jake Tapper is lying to us. You know, we can call it misremembering. He is covering up his tracks, your word, attempting to repair the record so he can move on without having to worry about it coming back up again, right? And we don't allow that to happen. I will give credit to Chuck Todd, who was a part of the cover-up, a part of the cadre of Washington, D.C. liberals who downplayed it or completely ignored it, who stepped out after Jake Tapper's book came out last week and said, no, this was not a they didn't tell us the truth. This was a we knew the truth and we did not want to say anything about it. And Chuck Schumer, he named names, said Chuck Schumer, who had been on the broadcast that he was talking on, he was a part of it. And he needs to own up to the fact that he was a part of it. And there needs to be some mea culpas going on.
Yeah, an apology to the American people to say, we knew it, we knew better. And the problem for Jake Tapper and other people in the media that were like, look, Republicans, these are baseless conspiracies. The problem is, do your eyes and ears lie too?
Mm-hmm.
When you're watching this, not before the debate, and you're saying everything's fine, everything's not fine. It's clearly obvious that it's not fine. And to say this was just a small cohort of people that were lying, well, they probably lied. I'm not going to debate that point, but you did too.
Well, and a couple of things along the line that we need to remind you of, and I'm sure you were there for it, right? So the debate happened, and I think the debate was the nail in the coffin.
It was,
I
absolutely.
make no mistake. But after the debate, liberals and their minions in the media were trying to figure out how to spin it and make it okay. And it took a Hollywood star by the name of George Clooney coming out. And I think his op-ed was a major part of why Joe Biden realized he had to step down, because George Clooney did not even tell the full story then when he wrote the story. Now he tells the full story that George Clooney, who has known Joe Biden for years, who has been to multiple functions with him, dinner with him, who has broken bread with him, said, I was speaking to him for several minutes and realized he did not know who I was.
Right.
That is something that is not only shameful on the part of the media, it's scary that they would go to those lengths. Now, what makes it worse to me, Cameron, the aspect of the cover-up is you juxtapose that against what they do with Donald Trump. Right? The 2.5 years of Russian collusion, the 2.5 years of Jan 6. Are these stories? Sure, they're stories. They need to be covered, sure. But the manner in which they covered them over and over and over again, demanding that the American people take them with the seriousness that they insisted they take them with, just shows you that, the fix is in. We're going to spike that which we believe in and promote that. We're going to downplay that which hurts our narrative, and we'll move on from there. And that's not what news media organizations
And it's a good
do.
reminder for those of us in the media who are more conservative to say, and I get criticized for this, and I'm okay with it. I want to hold power accountable, not Republican power or Democratic power. When I see something that doesn't smell right, then I'm going to say it. And that may not be popular in the moment, but I have to be true to myself, to my family, and say, hey, I know right from wrong, and I'm not going to let my political affinities determine the truth. And so even as we look at things and we look at Republicans, we need to be honest brokers about this stuff, because it's very easy to punish the other side and give a very charitable view to your own side. The legacy media is guilty of that right now, and that's why this is a cover-up, maybe one of the greatest ones in American history.
And for our side, whether that be conservatism, libertarianism, or whatever, it is okay to say, hey, overall, I agree with these policies. Overall, I agree with this guy. But on this issue, I strongly disagree.
Yeah.
And here's why. And I think we've lost the art of that amongst ourselves. And you get it. I mean, I don't need to tell you.
Yeah.
You get it far more than I do, because it just so happens that you have further disagreements on certain issues with Trump than I do. But it's okay to disagree and still be agreeable on the broader agenda and the broader plan for this presidency.
And I don't want to live in a country where I do not have the liberty to disagree with the political power. That moment is the moment that liberty is dead. And oh my goodness, I also don't want to live in a country where the media covers things up for the politicians they like.
I don't want to live in a country where you have to spend hours and hours listening to a podcast when you could spend, 12, 14 good minutes with us and get your podcast needs filled. And that's what we do.
And we're done.
On the regular, and we're done. This has been All the Best Words. Join us next time. Like and subscribe. Thank you.